Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
So yeah, I guess that's going to be on the playlist next time we have a party over at the house.
Okay, I'm down.
I don't know that I recommend that style of drinking. I think that may be a little excessive, but you know, it's a fun sort of song to think about, talk about, sing about. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pour another shot. Let's do this. You know, because a drunken populace is an easily controlled populace, and let's have more alcohol out there in the world.
Take a shot, gentlemen.
So on to
and
the,
ladies, of course.
On to the. I mean, I assumed you were saying gentlemen because there are two of us here in the studio.
I was talking to the audience.
Both of us identify as gendered male.
No, we do, but I wanted to make sure I included the women because I was also talking to the audience.
There is audience, and at least two of them are not male.
Yeah, well, I mean,
as far as I know, based on the YouTube views and the comments I've gotten, at least two of them are not.
All right. Well, never let it be said that I commented on one gender while not including the other. Everybody should drink, regardless of genital structure
or gender identity.
Of course,
which is an entirely different thing.
That's very true.
Nonetheless, on to
Let's see if I can't be more PC right now.
On to. Was that ironic, or?
Fine.
Or was that sarcastic?
I think it was both.
Somewhere in the middle.
Cheers.
So, on to the stupid shit you're going to do while you're drunk. So let's start with the big one because it's the big one. Is you're going to get drunk and you're going to sit behind the wheel of an automobile, you're going to put your keys in your hand, and you're going to like drool on yourself and fall asleep.
Okay.
In Arizona, that is called actual physical control.
Okay.
Sorry, I think I'm
I'm paranoid a little bit.
Scaring the manager with my flagrant use of liquids.
Piece of equipment.
Okay, so you're gonna get behind the wheel, and you're gonna get your keys out, and you're gonna fall asleep because you're fucking drunk.
Yeah.
That, my friends, is called actual physical control, which is exactly the same as if you had turned the key on and started driving, legally.
That makes no sense. Can I just say this right now?
So are you suggesting that the legal system is in some way trying to fuck people for no good reason?
Suggesting that we take another shot.
Because that is entirely the premise of this entire show. is that the
don't say. Oh, take two.
No, man. The legal or so-called justice system. Okay, shots. Excellent, all around.
Tasty water.
So, Section A, that's legal code number 281381. If you are under the influence and you either drive your automobile or are in physical control of it, then you are...
Actual physical control.
Actual physical control. It's a legal term.
Passed out of the wheel with the keys out of your pocket.
Physically able to manipulate it.
Okay.
Whether you're like mentally able to manipulate it or not.
Whether you're conscious or not, that doesn't matter.
Irrelevant to the law. So, if you are under the influence of any liquor, drug, or vapor.
Okay.
Or you have any liquor, drug, or vapors in your system, up to a certain level on some of them it's left really vague. One of these, I hate to harp on this thing, but one of the things that they specify is metabolites of certain chemicals, including the byproducts of smoking weed.
Okay.
So if you smoke weed and there's evidence that you had at one time smoked weed in your blood system, and they take a blood test after you were driving, so in all cases, whatever you're on, within 2 hours, they take a sample and they find out that there is evidence that you once smoked weed or that you had alcohol. Suddenly, you have just been a drunk driver.
Okay.
Whether it's cannabis or opiates or whatever your thing is, it's all the same to them. It's all drunk driving.
Okay.
So just so everybody knows, smoking a joint 2 or 3 days before you drive is just like taking 2 shots before you get behind the wheel. Not that there's any sort of unfairness there, or that it targets particular classes of people, or that there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying that's how it is. If you got the metabolites of any drug, or if you have alcohol content above 0.8%, you're intoxicated. So
okay.
if
I mean, sure.
So
that
you-
makes no sense. but
so
okay.
so you're intoxicated. The absolute minimum penalty you can have is 10 consecutive days in jail. That's guaranteed minimum. You get convicted, you're in jail for 10 days. It doesn't matter if you had one shot and drove one block.
Okay.
10 days minimum with an additional $500 fine, and you pay another $500 to the jail and another $500 to the road repair general fund. And you have to have an interlock device put in your car, preventing the engine from starting until you blow into it, and it tests the air you're breathing to not have alcohol.
Right.
in it.
Right. Now,
Which costs $1,000, and you have to pay another $500 to the interlock company.
of course you do. How would they make their money otherwise? I don't know if I'm just being naive about the law here or what. So, obviously, driving while you're intoxicated is a bad thing.
Yes.
You shouldn't do it, and both ourselves and our society should do everything we can to discourage it.
Yes.
Well, okay, but not everything we can, obviously. But
Yeah.
not at the
I think,
expense of.
I think death
right.
penalty for drunk
Yeah.
driving is not acceptable.
Okay, but yeah, you know what I mean.
Yes.
We should try to discourage it as a society, and we
Right.
do. That said, doesn't it seem like there should be a little more variation worked into the law? Should you get more time if you ran over somebody's pet, or if you
Well-
I don't know.
Well, I mean, that's the minimum, right? If you run over a pet, that's like endangerment and that's destruction of property,
Okay.
and there's a whole bunch of other shit involved there.
Okay, all right, yeah, I guess that makes sense.
But just the simple act of getting behind the wheel, and whether you drove or not, if you're behind the wheel and able to control the vehicle, it's 10 days in jail and a $500 fine and 500 and 500 and 500 and an interlock device.
Right, I definitely think you should have to be driving the car for that to happen. But,
Yeah,
you know.
I tend to agree.
Yeah.
And I also am very much of the opinion that including having traces of marijuana in your blood system as an equal offense is entirely ludicrous. Like, this is just totally fucked up nonsense.
Yes.
But we're talking about alcohol tonight, not marijuana. So, oh shit, is that really happening? I guess that is, isn't it?
Yeah. Drink.
So that all that said, if you go through all this, there's a good chance if you're a college kid, you probably have a lawyer, you probably have some money, you can probably get the judge to sentence you to some sort of drug and alcohol counseling.
Okay. As
And-
opposed to going to jail.
And the judge can, if they send you to that, lower your jail time from 10 days minimum to 24 hours minimum.
Okay, well that's a big jump in terms of
Yeah, I
not
actually
being in jail for as many days.
actually have a good friend who was given a drunk driving charge like literally a month after this new law came into effect. This was, I don't know, like 5 years ago.
Okay.
And he ended up getting the judge to give him 24 hours, and that 24 hours in county jail was a big deal for him. It was kind of like eye-opening, life-changing sort of thing. 24 hours in jail is kind of a big deal,
Yeah.
especially for like rich college kids who know nothing of suffering and like injustice.
Here.
Right. Cheers to that.
Cheers.
And so after the first one, you got 84 months. 84 months. It's a considerable length of time, especially for all of our younger friends here, all of our freshmen who are 18.
If you're not good at math, 84 months is going on, what, 7 years?
6 years.
6 years. No, 7, I think.
Yeah, you're right.
7.
7.
Yeah.
Six and a half.
60 months would be 5 years. 72 months would be 6 years, and 84 months would be 7 years.
Anyhow,
Yeah.
so 7 years later, and as I said, all of our freshman friends who are like 19, they haven't been through many 84-month periods in their life. I mean, none of us have, really. I mean, that's a big chunk of time.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
I've been through 4 of them, pretty much.
So you've got about 84 months. If it happens again, minimum 90 days in jail.
It's 3 months.
with a $1,200.
Wait, no, that's sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's 3 months.
Okay.
With a $1,200 fine, with $1,200 to the jail, with $1,200 to the road company, or to the road building fund, and an additional $1,200 to the interlock company. Additionally, your license gets taken away for an entire year where you can't get behind the wheel, and then the minute your license comes back, you have to install one of these very expensive interlock devices for another year.
Man, the interlock company, those guys are rich.
Yeah, super rich.
Yeah. Especially in this country. This is a country that loves drinking so much that we damn near fought a war over it when they tried to outlaw it.
Some people would argue that it was like a small-scale war.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, this country is sort of founded on alcohol.
It only makes sense. I'll tell you one thing. Those people up in the in Congress right now are drinking a lot.
Yes, they are.
Or maybe they're not. Maybe they need to drink more, and they're get the camaraderie of liquor going to solve these problems.
I don't know if I can believe that they aren't drunk. I mean, I honestly, I just can't believe that.
I don't know. I think it's either that or they're just stupid or insane. It's one of the three.
Or all of the above.
That's true. All right.
Or I mean, I would go first with assholes, and then drunk, and then stupid, and then insane.
Fair enough.
And then we'll throw in
Cheers.
some racist, just for the fun of it. Sexist, classist. Just in general, opposed to all other people aside from them and
the rest of the rich white male community.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's sort of the gist of the drinking and driving rant for tonight.
All right.
If you drink and drive,
Fuck
you're
you.
going to jail. Like, there's no oh, maybe I'll be okay. No, if you get pulled over, and it's not, and
I don't really have sympathy for you either if you do that. Unless you were that guy who passed out on the wheel of the car and they were like, "Oh, you're drinking and driving."
right,
Aside
which
from
is
that, I'm like, dude, you shouldn't be doing that shit.
And on a similar note, one thing that I recently heard of that actually was kind of one of the inspirations for starting this show, and also the inspiration for the Tequila Sunrise special.
Okay.
Whoa, that's a great name for a drink. We need to come up with a drink next
Tequila
time.
Sunrise Special?
The Tequila Sunrise special.
That sounds like a finishing move in a fighting game. Anyway.
Anyhow, so is that 1 year, I guess probably going back maybe half a decade, one of the professors here on campus was advising some students, had like a good rapport with a bunch of young folks, especially young ladies.
Like you do.
Especially like badass lawyer ladies tend to have a lot of like young girls that sort of confide in them. Anyway, she mentioned this 1 year where at Tequila Sunrise, there was some sort of big bust where like 35 girls from NAU got ticketed for peeing in public because the bathrooms were all full. They were like walking, it's like, oh, I'll just go in the bushes behind the building, I'll be fine.
Huh?
Yeah, it was like a bunch of them, like multiple dozens. And at the time, technically, so since then the city of Flagstaff has instituted a peeing in public law. But
they legalized it or they made it illegal?
So previously that act had to be punished under the indecent exposure law, which is a sex crime,
Right.
which ends you up
Right.
on the sex crime offender
Right, we
list.
talked about this the other a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
So you're getting shit-faced with everybody else on campus. There's like 200 girls in line for the bar. There are these like really secluded bushes, and you're like a tough outdoorsy girl because you live in Flagstaff, and you go out to the bushes and suddenly you're a sex offender
Right.
for the rest of your life.
Right.
And this happened to a number of girls that this one professor was close with. And that's just terrifying. Like, that is just really fucked up. Just a clear example of how the state exists largely to fuck as many people over as they can.
Here we go again. Let's do it.
And
Drink.
so the peeing in public law has changed since then. So now it's a minor misdemeanor. It's a city charge. It's not a state charge. But it still comes with a substantial fine and looks pretty moderately bad on your record.
Okay, but not sex offender bad.
Not sex offender bad. So that's a thing that you're gonna want to think about a little bit. At least look around and make sure there's no pigs in the bushes.
No pigs in the bushes. Got it.
Other stupid shit you're gonna do while you're drunk.
They just hide out there sometimes, don't they?
They do.
Yeah.
They do. They like put themselves in a place where they think someone might think they're hidden, just to see what happens. Because drunk people, they don't look around very much. They're not very observant. Which, as a general rule of thumb, I hate that. You know where that phrase comes from, right? The rule of thumb.
The beating your wife, right?
It was
I don't know. Things I learned from Boondock Saints. What do you want from me?
It was a
The uncut version.
British rule of Parliament.
Yeah.
It's Parliament came up with this law that said
It's
if
like
you're
men were allowed to beat their wives if they used a stick that no larger than their thumb.
no larger than their thumb.
Yeah.
So, nice little history lesson for everybody, maybe. But
Like I said, I learned it from Boondock Saints. But yes.
So as a rule, look around, be observant, which is almost impossible to do when you've been drinking. But you can get some practice and you can figure out how to do it. It's not that incredibly difficult. So like be somewhat aware of your surroundings, even while you're totally fucking shit-faced. And can you think of any particular legal things while I look for a musical interlude?
Drink.
Can you think of any particular drunken shenanigans that any of our audience is likely to get involved in that may have legal repercussions that I haven't covered yet, aside from peeing in public and being too loud and congregating in a group?
The first one that comes to mind is breaking shit. I know it's a somewhat popular activity. Destruction. I mean, frankly, it happens a lot. It's something that I'm not ashamed to admit that I've engaged in while intoxicated.
And most people have. I would venture to say that it's a somewhat gendered activity, where people who identify as male are more prone to do that. But that's just
entirely
theory,
possible.
Based on social expectations of us being violent and aggressive and mean.
On my 21st birthday, I smashed my cell phone and set it on fire.
Nice.
Out in the parking lot of my dorm at the U of A. But so yeah, that's definitely something I can see college kids getting into. Obviously, if you're having like a really loud argument with someone, that happens a lot with drunk people.
Oh, all the time. I can't tell you how many times this semester I have woken up to a drunken argument outside my window.
On the street, sure.
On the street.
Yeah, and you can get the cops call on you for that.
We live in the same neighborhood. You probably have heard the same fights.
Is this like some kind of secret or something that we're roommates? Like what? Are we not telling people this? That we live in the same house?
Well, all that said, oh man, now my song of choice is a little awkward. So let's keep going with breaking things.
What's your song of choice?
It's a Dead Kennedys song.
Oh, well, then I love it already.
So I think so. It's like a 3-minute song. We got like 8 minutes to go.
Okay.
Breaking shit is a crime.
Yes.
It's going to be some sort of. There are a number of statutes for breaking shit, but I mean, at the very least, it's going to be littering. I see a lot of broken glass in my neighborhood. I see a lot of like cups lying around. Don't be a fucking asshole, man. That's my goddamn planet, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you're throwing your cup down, you're polluting my fucking world. Fuck you.
And it is a crime. I mean, you can get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's $500 in Arizona.
Yeah.
You're out drinking. You're at the keg party. You're walking home. You drop your stupid red Solo cup on the ground. That's a crime. That's a significant bit of a significant fine.
Yeah.
And if I see you do it, I might punch you.
And as sort of an extension of arguments, having people yelling on the street,
right.
Fighting,
people yelling,
getting into physical altercations is a danger.
Yes, that becomes assault, or if it's just a physical confrontation. If I push you, that's assault.
Right. Right.
If I push you down and then attempt to hurt you further, that's assault and battery.
I've got something.
If I
Okay, go ahead.
if I push you down and then I start kicking you while you're down and then I grab something heavy and start smashing you with it, that's assault and battery and attempted murder.
So don't do that. Real.
So the more you escalate any sort of thing, just yelling at each other, that's a misdemeanor. Yelling at each other and pushing each other around, that is either the highest class of misdemeanor or the lowest class of felony. Yelling at each
actually
other,
beating somebody with something, that's attempted murder.
right? That
Yeah.
gets into like second, first degree felonies.
Right. One thing that I just thought of that I think might be very relevant for some people in our audience. What happens if you are over 21 and you buy alcohol from someone who's not?
Oh, that's a big one. That's a huge one. I don't have the exact numbers right now. I want to say it's in the multiple $1,000 fine and in the upwards of 6 months in jail neighborhood.
Really?
It's
Wow.
it's big in Arizona. Yeah.
Okay.
And on campus, it's even bigger because that's one that they don't take lightly.
Yeah, and it's at least a misdemeanor, right?
Yeah, it's a high misdemeanor.
Yeah.
Like misdemeanor 2 or 3.
Right.
Um,
I've had a lot. I mean, I've had a lot of discussion with some people about that because just knowing underage people and people will come up. I remember when I was when I was living at the U of A, I was living in the dorms at the U of A, and I turned 21 while I was there, and the rest of my floor were all 18, 19,
Nice.
and I started getting knocks on the door at 10 in the
Oh,
morning.
yeah.
You know, 10 in the morning. Hey, Miles, you up? What are you doing tonight? You know, I'm not buying you beer, you idiots. Go away. Leave me alone. But yeah, there are some pretty severe consequences for that. You know what I mean?
And one thing I want to mention before we get out, which I've meant to talk about quite a bit, but I've developed this new theme for like sort of organizing my thoughts for the show and getting myself together. I've been doing these note cards, as
Yeah,
you know.
I see that. Yeah.
Sort of keeping like main talking points, an idea of where I lost the card that had all of the information I wanted to cover for the second half of the show. so those cards are just gone. So we've just been sort of winging it. But before we get out of here,
I
I
think it's been a good show.
really, really want to get to rape.
Okay.
So we've talked about it before, and in a lot of ways for a lot of things. And the fact is,
I need to be drunk for this conversation.
unlike on a moral and ethical standpoint, if the person you want to get freaky with isn't as excited as you are, or more so, then it is not cool.
Yeah, if she's passed out drunk or he's passed out drunk, more likely she, then it's a crime, guys. It's rape.
It's a significant crime. And even if they're like going along with it, but they're too drunk to put together like two sentences, that's
Mhm.
still rape.
Yes.
If they don't stop you from doing it, it's still rape. If they say no, I don't want to, and you say, oh, come on, baby, and they're like, oh, I guess, that's rape.
If they're drunk and yeah.
Especially if they're drunk. But even if not, even if you're like, oh no, come on, maybe, and then you make out for a while, and then you're like, no, come on, and they're like, no, I don't really, and then you make out for a while more, and they're like, no, I don't really, and you make out for a while more, and they like stop resisting, that's still rape. And if I find out about it, I will hunt you down.
Yeah.
And well,
You deserve to be castrated for that.
someone in the larger community will hunt you down and hurt you, not just physically, but socially.
Yeah.
And
you deserve it.
you
You deserve every second of it.
yes, any sort of any retribution that comes to you is something that you deserved, even if she didn't say no. Even if even if the other doesn't say no, if they're too intoxicated, even if they.
Yeah. Now
even-
I'm not a favor of the death penalty in these cases because I think that's too quick.
We live in a society where males are expected to dominate. So we go into sort of sexual experiences because we're afraid of sex, right? As a culture, as a society,
Oh, terrifying.
we outlaw sex, but we love violence. And
Cheers.
and oh yeah, that was me, wasn't
Yep.
it? And so we have these sort of social expectations of what it means to be masculine, and conversely, what it means